F1 midseason review. Let's get into it. Start off with Mercedes. They seem to regain their form after several subpar years by their lofty standards. The porpoising's all but gone, and they seem to have found a legitimate young star in the making in Kimi. However, it's not all sunshine and rainbows. Antonelli has shown flashes of brilliance, including becoming the youngest ever pole sitter in F1 and the third youngest podium finisher, but he's still very young and very raw. He's made a few key errors, including dismal showing in his home race in Imola, which, by the way, might be his last chance with the track's contract ending this year. And these gaffes appear to be the difference between them and Ferrari in the battle for second in the Constructors' title. George has been quietly one of the more consistent drivers on the grid all year, but even he can't avoid controversy after coming to blows on the track with Max multiple times, and the rumor mill that Max may be coming for his seat next year if he decides to leave Red Bull. But with all that being said, Benz looks like they're on the right track. Next up, let's talk Red Bull. Max to Benz rumors are hotter than Joss during a fuel stop, but for now, they still have the reigning world champion, and despite not having the best car, he doesn't look like he wants to give up that crown very easily. Love him or hate him, his talent is undeniable. But him and his father can be tough to deal with at times. Luckily for Christian Horner, that's no longer his problem, as that sharp drop-off in performance, team performance, and maybe some lingering baggage from all of those sexual assault allegations finally led to him getting the axe after a very impressive 2-decade run that saw him win 8 drivers and 6 constructors championships. But back to the car. Can anyone handle the second seat behind Max? Liam Lawson's time at Red Bull looked like a Grandpa Simpson meme. And his replacement, Yuki, has had his fair share of struggles too. To make matters worse, perhaps the best performing driver in their whole system outside of Max is Isaac Hadjar, a rookie who crashed out in his debut race but bounced back in impressive fashion so far. It seems everybody that moves up to that RB seat ends up performing worse than they did with the baby Red Bull. Is it due to the pressure that comes with performing with Max? Or is it the sharp steering setup that Max is accustomed to, that several former Red Bull drivers have referenced? One thing's for sure, Chico doesn't look that bad in retrospect. It looks like pain for Red Bull. Ferrari, Ferrari, Ferrari. Where would we be without more drama and strategy silliness from the Scuderia? Hamilton's honeymoon in Maranello looks like it ended just as quick as it started. His sprint race win was definitely proved he still has something left in the tank for us, but that was the lone bright spot in what's been overshadowed by lackluster qualifying results, mediocre point finishes, just general disappointment by his standards. Charles has been consistently faster, but not really knocking our socks off with his performance. And it makes you wonder if they may have let the better driver walk last year. Add that disappointing step back to the new rumors of massive internal friction between Hamilton and Ferrari brass, and you have, well, exactly what we've come to expect from Ferrari over the last few years. They are regaining some pace, but they've got a long way to go to catch the papayas. Next up, McLaren. Trouble in paradise? Honestly, probably not. Or is there? McLaren have finally found their way back to the front of the grid on the back of astronomical improvements in the middle of last season, which have resulted in dominance we haven't seen from Bruce's namesake since Mika Hakkinen. To add to their embarrassment of riches, they clearly have the best 1-2 driver punch on the grid, but with 2 great drivers in hands down the fastest car, you have a recipe for a fight. We saw it with Hamilton and Rosberg, Hamilton and Alonso, Senna Prost, Prost Lauda, etc., etc. When the team has no competition, the competition becomes the team. And sure enough, they came to blows in Montreal when Lando crashed into Oscar, which accounts for most of the points gap we currently have between the two. Lando has been the chosen one ever since he arrived in Woking, but Mr. Pastry has quickly shown he is at least his equal, if not the more consistent driver. Despite falling victim to the home race curse, he does enjoy that narrow lead over his more experienced teammate, and he doesn't show any signs of backing down. So far, there haven't been any massive clashes outside of Montreal, but it's only a matter of time before the pressure of such a rare opportunity brings the dog out in these boys. Buckle up, second half is going to be good. Williams appeared to get the steal of silly season last year when they added the freshly available Carlos Sainz to their undeniably talented Alex Albon. It seemed with a pair of solid pilots, all that was needed was some progress on the perennial tractor they've trotted out year after year since Juan Pablo Montoya left. And so far, so. They find themselves the best of the rest and 5th in the Constructors' Championship, but this come-up hasn't been without its share of letdown. Both drivers have had some surprisingly good results in practice and qualifying, but that hasn't exactly translated on Sundays. The points have still come in drips and drabs. Sainz had a really difficult time adjusting to his new whip, and who could blame him going from a highly competitive Ferrari to a promising but temperamental Williams. Despite their struggles on the fringes of relevance for so many years, I do think there's cause for hope as the legacy brand continues their long climb back. Aston Martin. This one seems obvious, but let's talk about it anyway. Lewis to Ferrari wasn't the only all-time name-changing teams when Lawrence Stroll turned the F1 world on its head by luring Adrian Newey away from Red Bull. How did he do that, you ask? That's pretty simple. He backed up a Brinks truck to his house and then handed over the keys to a brand new 9-figure facility with the hopes of producing a car that even Lance could compete in. So far, the result's been a combined 36 points, and Lance breaking his 3rd wrist outside of an F1 car in as many years, when he allegedly went Hulk smash on team equipment in the pits, causing him to miss the Spanish Grand Prix. Combine that with his altercation with his trainer last year, and Fernando looking almost invisible in that car, and now you have growing calls to give both of those seats to more younger, promising drivers. Aston is giving solid competition to Ferrari as the most disappointing team of the year. Plus, the poverty franchise of F1. While an American presence in F1 is a fantastic idea in theory, and it would undoubtedly pour gasoline on the fire that is the growing popularity of the sport in North America, the team has delivered nothing but disappointment. Questionable driver choices. Let's go over them. Nikita Mazepin, aka Russian Lance Stroll. Mick Schumacher, who we all love but just didn't quite work out. The safe but old combo of K-Mag and Hulk. Now we have known bad team players, Esteban Ocon, with young Ollie Berman. Now you also have rumors that the team is struggling to make payroll. Continued rumors that they're at risk of missing races because of a lack of backup parts after a string of crashes. They've just been a veritable dumpster fire ever since they entered the sport. And they got rid of the only entertaining piece of their team when they put poor Gunter out of his misery. This team continues to toil below mediocrity, and it's all due to half-ass effort from ownership, who, across their other successful ventures in racing and industry, appear to be spread a little too thin to hack it in the big leagues. In addition, Ollie Berman hasn't been able to recreate the strong showings he had last year in 2 different Ferrari-powered cars, and this doesn't seem like a good environment for nurturing and developing a young driver. There doesn't seem to be an end in sight for Haas's pain. Baby Red Bull. Visa, Cash App, Red Bull, OnlyFans payment system, whatever you want to call them. They're basically a waiting room for Red Bull's next victims. With all the rapid driver changes at the flagship team, the Baby Bulls have become almost like a relegation league as drivers await their chance to tame the beast alongside Max Verstappen. So far, both drivers that have moved up have enjoyed the same or better results with the B team, which raises more questions than answers, including, how would Isaac Hadjar do in the Red Bull, given he is regularly punched above his weight this season? But then again, Yuki delivered similar results before struggling at the top. Maybe they're better than Red Bull. Kick Sauber. Sounds like something we should do to make room for Audi and Cadillac in the coming years. In their previous incarnation as Alfa Romeo, They were backmarkers, barring the notable aberrations provided by Charles Leclerc and the odd wacky result from Valtteri Bottas. But this iteration is no exception. This year has seen Nico Hülkenberg have 2 top 10s before my personal favorite moment of the season, as he ended his podium drought on his 239th career start. That's where the positivity ends, though. Yes, they're currently 6th in the constructors' standings, but they're currently in a logjam that sees the bottom 5 teams separated by just 23 points. Rookie Gabriel Bortoleto has been nearly invisible in what is easily one of the worst cars on the grid. Last and least, it's Alpine. Their struggles have been well documented over the last few years, and they are light years away from their former glory when Fernando Alonso and Michael Schumacher both delivered back-to-back titles with them decades ago. Pierre Gasly is a proven pilot who's done an admirable job trying to push shit up a hill, but to no avail. And Franco Colapinto has had 0 success. And at this point in the season, he is the only driver still on the grid without a point scored all year. The only other driver this season to not score a point is the man he replaced, Jack Doohan. Multiple personnel changes and shakeups have done little to improve their prospects, and there is absolutely 0 reason to hold out hope for the team formerly known as Renault. There you have it. Which team do you think is in worse shape? Who can turn things around? And if this is just a McLaren coronation, which driver in orange becomes the 35th man to call himself world champion? Let me know in the comments. Like, sub, turn on the notifications so you can stay up to date.